my name is Zoe. I just wanted to take a moment today to guide us through a bit of a slow flow yoga class today. So slow flow is great for a variety of yoga bodies. Slow flow is wonderful for people who are brand new to yoga. Slow flow is great for people who want a restorative class. Slow flow is great for people who just want to take a moment to relax. Anyone that's been doing yoga for years, anyone who's at any activity level, any point of their day could really benefit from a slow flow class. So I'm going to go ahead and take us through a little bit of a sequence together. So if you want to go ahead and start by finding a comfortable spot on your mat, you could be sitting up, laying down on your back, anywhere that's comfortable. We're going to open with a meditation, so let's take a few minutes, find somewhere that we can stay for that duration. And as we come to this opening meditation, taking a moment, just working to deepen our breath here. Lengthening our inhales, lengthening our exhales. And as you inhale, taking in something, metaphorically, just maybe thinking of something that you could use to get through the rest of your day. So as you inhale, maybe thinking, I need a little bit of patience today. And as we inhale, we are inhaling in that patience with us. And likewise for our exhales, so thinking maybe to ourselves what we want to take away for the rest of our day here, so what we want to give back, just release that with our exhale. So maybe today we are exhaling out anxiety. And as we continue to breathe, maybe we can think of more things we want to take with us, more things we want to leave behind. And now just taking a moment, we're going to conduct a quick body scan. So wherever we are, seated, lying down, we're just going to start at the crown of our head, and as we move down, completing this body scan, we're additionally going to give ourselves permission to release tension along the way. So as we check in with this part of our body, making sure we're not passing judgment, just observing how we feel and allowing ourselves to release tension. So again, starting at the crown of our head, we'll work down through our facial muscles, past our jaw, through our eyebrows, down through the muscles of our neck and onto our shoulders, releasing any tension that we're holding. Down through our elbows and into our fingertips. Past our collarbones, through our chest muscles, and into our abdomen. Past our hip points, through our kneecaps. Finally down into our feet to the tips of our toes. Just feeling fully present in this moment. Inhaling here, maybe bringing a little life back into our bodies, just starting to rock our feet side to side, maybe bring one ear to our mat and then rock the other ear over. Gently waking up here. And we're actually going to start class today lying down on our mat. So if we're not already down on our mat, meeting there to begin. We'll go ahead and inhale, send our arms up overhead. Our biceps come parallel to our ears here. Making sure that those points along our spine, the back of our head, the shoulder blades, down through our sit bones are all making contact with the earth right now. From here, we're going to walk both of our hands over to the top left corner of our mat. And then once our hands make it there, we're going to walk both our heels to the bottom left corner of our mat. So we're making this crescent moon or maybe parenthesis shape here. Let's just take a good couple deep belly breaths here, settling into this posture. So when we say belly breaths, knowing that we mean inhaling to fill that belly all the way to the top, and as we exhale, we then purge that belly of all that old air. So as we breathe, really breathing through those abdominal muscles. And after our next round of breath, we'll go ahead and first walk those hands over to the top right corner of our mat. And then walking those feet over to the bottom right corner of our mat. So finding that opposite side crescent moon shape here. Take a few breaths. Exhale, we'll work our way back to center here, both our hands and our feet. We'll just go ahead and roll over onto one side or the other into this side body position here. And when we're ready, pressing up through our side, making our way to seated. So we find ourselves in this seated posture. We're going to make sure that we are head over heart over pelvis. So what I mean by that is in most neutral positions when we're seated, when we're standing up in mountain pose, anything where we should have our spine aligned, which is most postures, we should have that head stacked right over our heart, which is stacked right over our pelvis, practicing that spinal neutrality, building a healthy posture here. So we'll start in this nice tall seated posture here, Sukhasana or easy pose. We're just going to start by extending that right arm overhead here, leaning gently towards the left. If you want to deepen this stretch, we can extend that left hand out to our side here, maybe walking those fingertips out and just stretching through that right side body. On our exhale, cartwheel that hand over to switch. That right hand can either make it to our knee or to beside us on that mat. Left arm comes long overhead, extending long this time through this left side body. And exhale, taking ourselves back to a nice neutral posture here. We're gonna go ahead and move through some full body rotations here. So there's a couple ways to do this. I like to start by putting my hands on my knees here, starting in that neutral spine. And then I start by dropping one forearm, I'm taking my right, to that corresponding thigh, dropping it low to that side, swinging low around front until the opposite forearm meets that opposite thigh, and taking a few rotations in one direction like this. Now, if this is a little bit too much movement, uncomfortable maybe in the lower back, we can just keep those hands sitting on those knees and just take nice slow circles stemming from our hips, from our lower spine here, whatever's comfortable for you. Let's take a few here and I'll let you know when to switch directions. Once we complete our next full rotation, finding ourselves in center, let's take it the opposite way here. Again, if you're taking those smaller variation, that more upright posture, perfectly fine. Whatever works for you works for me. Just switch that direction with us. And after our next full rotation, we'll meet back in that neutral posture here. Working through some neck movements, we're just going to start again, tuck that chin to chest, pick one direction and gently roll it out here. If you find any points of major tension along the way, a really tight spot, just hold in that area. Send a full belly inhale and exhale, working to help release that tension, and then just keep moving in the direction that you started. Making sure this movement's nice and slow. We're not working here to really speed the muscles up, to work them quickly, but rather to just get them ready for more advanced movement. Let's go ahead and switch directions once we finish this rotation. And next time we're at that neutral spine here, let's just tilt that chin back into our neutral head over heart over pelvis stance here. So it's easier to see from the side the way that I'm triple stacked here. All right, y'all, we're gonna make our way into tabletop. So for tabletop, we're gonna wanna plant those hands directly underneath our shoulder sockets here. Those knees are directly underneath our hips. Our back is flat or neutral. Our gaze is towards the front of our mat, but is also neutral here. And then making sure of two things. We're checking in with those feet so they're not splaying in or out. They're not curled up under us. The tops of those feet are resting comfortably parallel with our knees and our shins here. And then also making sure that we have a little space in between our fingertips. If we have those hands together, it points all those muscles of the hand forwards here, which can add a little bit of tension onto those wrists. If we make sure that we have a little bit of space in between those fingertips, we kind of have a wider stance to be able to claw through that mat to push away, bring our weight to the top of the mat, if that makes sense. One last thing, if this is too much on our wrists, we can stack these hands into fists here, take a little tension off those wrists, or we can add blocks underneath. That's enough for me. Let's head into our cat-cows. So go ahead and inhale here. Our hips pop up, our gaze is forward, our back finds this arch in it here. This is our cow pose. And following on our exhale, we first tuck those hips, dome that back. Our gaze comes in between our hands for our cat pose, looking like some scared cats. So just take a few of these at the pace of your own breath, remembering our inhale takes us down to this cow pose. Our exhale curls us up into this cat pose. Take about one more round of each here. With cat-cows, this is one of those postures you can add in any organic movement. A lot of times I'll add in some hip bumps side to side. I'll add in a little bit of a side to side head movement. Whatever's comfortable for you here. All right, returning to that neutral or flat back here. Remember that gaze is slightly towards the top of our mat. We're going to extend our right arm off the mat. So really make sure you're pressing firmly for those left fingertips. You're gonna inhale those right fingertips up to the sky here. Gaze is following me up towards the ceiling. And then on our exhale, we're gonna come to thread the needle. So exhaling, this hand comes to the space between our left hand, left knee. Option one, we can hover right here, letting our gaze again follow these fingertips. Option two, we can drop down onto that right shoulder here, maybe walk that left hand out, finding a little bit of a deeper stretch through that shoulder. Whichever is more comfortable for you, take a few breaths there. Inhaling, walking first that left hand back to about face level. We press up, and then we're gonna unthread this needle, sending that right hand to the sky once more here. And exhaling that right hand back down onto the mat, readjusting for our tabletop. If this ever hurts your knees, I don't know what type of mat you're using at home today, but a good option to take a little bit of that pressure off is to just add a fold in your mat right here. Adds double, triple the cushioning depending on your mat. Really helps take that pressure off our knees. Same thing left side here. We'll inhale, extend that left arm to the sky, pressing really firmly through that right hand. And as we exhale, we'll thread through this side, bringing this left hand through our space here. Again, option one, we can just hover here. Option two, drop it down. Exhale first, pressing through that right hand. Extending left, unthreading here. And exhaling back into tabletop for one last tabletop here. All right, y'all, we're gonna make it into one downward dog in class today. So depending on the yoga flow class that you take for gentle yoga, sometimes you'll see a lot of down dogs. For mine, I only like to add in a couple just because I really like my gentle flows gentle. So we're gonna work to tuck our feet here, coming up onto the ball of our foot. Pressing into that downward dog, maybe taking a few pedals, driving each heel towards the mat to warm up those hamstrings. A couple notes while we're in this downward dog. Number one, keeping that space in between our fingertips. Again, we should be actively pushing away from the mat. We're not sinking into those shoulders, letting ourselves collapse towards the earth. We're actively pressing up here. Again, this is a great posture. If you have blocks, you can always put blocks underneath those hands here. Take a couple more breaths, warming up those hamstrings. Any organic movement, this is another great one. And then together, looking between our hands at the top of our mat, we're either gonna walk, step, jump, tiptoe, whatever's groovy for you. However we wanna get there, bringing our feet in between our hands at the top of our mat. We're gonna let opposite hand find opposite elbow here and just find a ragdoll forward fold. So just letting gravity do most of the work here. Maybe finding a gentle sway side to side or in circles. Then we're gonna inhale, let our hands come up the length of our shins or maybe even just above our knees until our back is flat, gaze is slightly forward. We are in halfway lift. And then let's exhale, sink just a little deeper in that forward fold. Maybe we untuck those arms, let our hands trail on the mat, drawing little rainbows over our feet. And then we'll inhale all the way to the top here, root to rise. So keeping that spine nice and neutral as we extend overhead. And then when we meet in that mountain, of course, we are head over heart over pelvis here. Let's extend those arms overhead with us. Maybe take a gentle back bend at the top. And exhale, we'll find that mountain here. Go ahead and drop those hands to our sides. Let's take a couple quick shoulder rolls. Maybe a few in each direction. All right, here we're gonna inhale those arms back overhead, bringing those hands together. Exhaling, our hands come heart center, and as we exhale, we're gonna bring back that forward fold. So as we come from this mountain to forward fold, we hinge first at those hips, keeping that back flat. And when we can hinge no more, we then round that back down into our forward fold, practicing safe spine techniques. From here, we're gonna plant those hands on the mat. So if you need to add a generous bend in those knees, that's totally fine, meet me there. Planting those hands, step one foot back, followed by the other. Option one, we find this high plank just for a breath, I promise. Option two, just go ahead and drop it down to our knees. Either one we pick on our exhale, Let's go ahead and lower on down to our mats here, bellies and chests meeting that mat. And on our inhale, taking our cobra variation here. So maybe we take a cobra, maybe we take a sphinx pose, or if you're feeling ambitious today, we can pop up into our upward dog, pressing those tops of our feet, tops of our knees up off the mat here. And from here, we'll just go ahead and press our way through a tabletop and then one step further, all the way back into child's pose. So for child's pose, I like to find a wide variation, bringing those big toes together, but our knees as wide as the mat, and walking those hands out. If that's not comfortable for you, we can always bring those knees in together here for this variation. Just find what works for you. Taking a couple breaths right here. Allowing ourselves the opportunity to reset while we're here. Giving ourselves permission to just be still. We don't have to always be thinking of the next thing. We don't always have to be fretting over our next task on our to-do list. We do have the ability to just be present and be still. And all we have to do is allow it to ourselves. Exhale. Let's go ahead and walk those hands back towards our midline here. We'll go ahead and swing ourselves around, meeting back in our Sukhasana or easy pose. From here, we just move through a couple closing postures. So we'll start by taking this left hand towards or on our right knee here. And then right hand reaches to our side or perhaps all the way around back. So our torso is coming with us to the right. Our gaze is going to follow over here. Take a couple good breaths. We'll go ahead and exhale to release into center here. And then same thing on our other side. This right hand makes it towards or on our left knee. Left hand walks around our side or back, rotating that entire upper body. Gaze follows. Making sure we're keeping those shoulders rolled down and back here, not holding tension. And then we'll exhale back into center here. All right, from here we'll kick those legs out long. So when I rotate here, I'm just showing you what to do. You don't have to rotate with me. Keeping those legs long, that back is still in our nice neutral spine here. We're gonna inhale those biceps beside our ears. Exhale, folding at our hips, hinging forward, reaching towards our feet. Maybe we're able to reach past them, maybe we don't quite reach them. Any way it goes is fine by me. Just find somewhere that you're comfortable with. This should not induce pain or any type of pinching. Should be a nice stretch through the backs of our legs, maybe up through our back. Now let's exhale, walk our hands up the length of our legs here. Go ahead and bring this right leg, cross it over left here. Option one, stay right here. Option two, bring that left elbow to the outside of our bent knee and find a bit of a full body twist here. Exhale, releasing through center. Go ahead and uncross that right leg. Same thing other side here, so crossing that left leg over right. Option one, keep it right here. Option 2, let that right elbow find the outside of our knee, find that full body twist. Exhaling through center. We're just going to gently let ourselves make our way down onto our backs here. So however is comfortable for you to make it down there, as long as it's a nice controlled movement. We're going to find a bend in those knees, so planting our feet on the earth here. Taking our right ankle, we're going to let it cross at our left knee. Option 1, keep this planted on the earth right here. Option 2, we can find a bind, maybe lace those hands around the back side of our left thigh and hug this in towards our chest, actively engaging so that right knee is being pressed open and away. Whether we're down on the earth or picking this up, we should be actively pressing that right knee away for a little bit more of a stretch here. I also always like to roll my left ankle out in this one, just kind of add another bit of a stretch while we're here. Why not? 2 for 1. And on our inhale, let's hug this in just a little tighter before we exhale to release that left foot to the earth, and then uncrossing right ankle. Same thing other side. Left ankle to right knee here. Option 1, keep it here, but actively drive that left knee open. Option 2, pick this up, maybe find that bind behind our right thigh here. And again, I'm just gonna roll my ankle out. Lots of different variations for this one. Again, take whatever's comfortable. And remember, with yoga in general, you should always take what variation is comfortable. Your yoga teacher should always provide lots of options, but even if they don't, you can always drop down into a child's pose mid-class if something's too intense for you. Yoga is all about what you make it. Let's inhale this just a little closer once more. And exhale to release that right foot onto the mat, and then uncrossing left here. Last thing we'll do before we head into our Shavasana, let's go ahead and let our feet come about mat width distance apart here. Still with that bend in our knees. We're just gonna come through some windshield wipers. So as we exhale, let's drop both knees to one side or the other, doesn't matter which. Inhale, we come through center. And then exhale, we'll drop them over to the opposite side. So just take a few rounds of that at the pace of your breath. Alright, once we've gone through a few rotations of this, we're going to kick both our legs out long here. Coming into our corpse pose, preparing for Shavasana here. So, we have a few things that we can do to make our Shavasana our own. Option 1, we let those hands come down to our sides. There's a few things that you can do with your hands here. So you can let them face upwards, representing that maybe you need to receive something. Likewise with our breath, so maybe if you want to take in again that patience or something else, take in energy, take in wellness, you can let your hands remain facing upwards towards the universe, maybe receiving that energy. Or we can flip those palms, ground side down, representing we'd like to give something back, we'd like to ground a little more. So maybe we need to give back some of that energy, or we just need to give back some of that anxiety, whatever it may be. And then if this doesn't apply to you, you're feeling pretty balanced, I always recommend the 1 up, 1 down, just keeping all things in balance here. Or if none of that feels like it's suiting you today, let's go ahead and throw one hand on our chest, one hand on our stomach here, and just let ourselves feel that breath move through us. So again, returning to those belly breaths we started class with. Maybe taking the deepest breaths we've taken all day. As we exhale, maybe we allow ourselves to sigh out through our nose or through our mouth with our lips closed. This breath is known as Ujjayi breath or ocean breath because as you go through your inhales and exhales, it sounds like the ocean. Allowing ourselves to release that tension once more. Maybe completing one more body scan on your own, starting from the crown of your head, working slowly to the tips of your toes. Again, placing no judgment on how you feel, but maybe just taking note of how you feel differently before class versus now. Let's just take a moment to wake ourselves up here. Maybe wiggling our fingers and toes. Maybe gently rocking one ear towards the mat and then the other. However is comfortable for you. When you're ready, no rush to get here. If you'd like to stay in the Shavasana for a few more minutes, by all means. I'm going to make my way up to the top of my mat here, seated. Inhaling my arms overhead, let those hands meet overhead. I'm going to exhale those thumbs, letting them drop to the space between our eyebrows, representing that the thoughts that we think will be only kind and true about ourselves and those around us. Dropping those thumbs to our chin or our lips, representing we'll speak words only kind and true to ourselves and to those around us. Finally, dropping those hands to heart center, letting those thumbs find our sternum, representing that we will act only out of the best intention to ourselves and those around us. Finding a gentle bow, sealing this in. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you for joining class today. Again, this was, I don't know, what was that, 30 minutes? Maybe a little more, of just a gentle, slow flow. I hope you enjoyed class.